Thomas, let's go!
Hello everyone, this time Tom 10 is in Latvia. I haven't traveled for a race in the past, but as soon as I started, it seems like I can't stop. We will see how it goes, but this time I'm at Vivus.lv Marathons in Talsi. It's 2 day stage race, where on first day we had a course of 30 kilometers or so for marathon distance, and that was on Saturday, and on Sunday it was 50 plus kilometers marathon distance, and it was a mass start. So we will see how it goes, but here we are starting at 30 seconds intervals, 5-person each wave, and here on the right is Girds, which we are already familiar with from Aluksnes race. So shout out Girds, it was a pleasure to chat with you before the race, and here we are going into start in 2 seconds. This was an uphill, a quite steep one, but nothing too much serious, and I'm not pushing too much and just seeing how it will go. Thankfully it wasn't long, because I didn't made good warm-up before the race, for the reasons everyone probably knows, that it was raining quite a lot and significantly, and here I already understood that mud guards wouldn't be a bad idea for the start, but well, maybe it rained only in the beginning of the course and everything will be just fine for more. We will see. But yeah, here I'm probably going 4th or 5th among our start group, but not pushing, and just seeing where the course will lead us to. I haven't done any recap of the track nor watched any videos or etc, so everything for me here is brand new and unridden before. And here I for some reason decided to make an attack, and even though I didn't knew where this will lead us to, it finally made out to be a good decision, because we went straight into a single track where all the fun just began. And you can hear that there are a lot of noisy braking out there, because we went into the mud right from the start. And here we are going into single track. I am going very slowly, someone goes a bit faster, but everyone is risking at their own expense, falling, etc. Here we can see that that course already has some pathway on the ground, and you could try to follow it, but at the same time logic says that it should have a better traction where there are still grass, some of left still on the course. But it's not the case actually. Whether you try to go on the mud or on the grass, it's a bit better on the grass, but at the same time if you manage to turn your front wheel, the rear, if it's on the mud already, doesn't want to follow your counter steering, and it just slides through, and it's a bit complicated to ride there. And as soon as you go into the mud, that slippery area, it's very difficult to go out to the grass again, and it's just a never-ending struggle. It's all sliding and all sorts of cornering techniques. And whenever you go uphill, even if it's not very steep one, you expect that, alright, so downhill might be easier, And here we can see that the first 5 kilometers went with average of 331 watts. So that's a bit too much for me to begin the race, but well, that track conditions dictates how fast and how strong you should ride. So whenever you go uphill, you expect that there will be a downhill, and either you can rest a bit or just gain extra speed, but that was not the case in this race, because every time you go up, you know that it will be very slippery going down. And again, I'm saying everything from my perspective, and it was survival mode for me, where I struggled a lot on the downhills. Some Latvian guys looked like it's nothing for them, and it's just daily life in the forest. But personally, I didn't had such experience at all of riding in such conditions. There are definitely some tracks where you have areas of mud, where you just going in muddy section of a track, and again, once it ends, you have some traction for your wheels. But here was a never-ending slippery story throughout the whole 30 kilometers. And even if you go into the double tracks, they are sandy, they are very draining you in, and you will see a lot of hiking the bike here. And keep in mind that I didn't add all of them here, so if I'm going to upload full on board, you will see what I'm talking about. So you can see that there are probably too many counter steering on the handlebars, but that's just the way how I drive, and I am not comfortable with. And again, second lap was a bit less powerful, but here casual situation appear for me, where whenever it's very muddy, it's just a matter of time when I'm going to lose the chain. I'm not sure whether it's a problem of incorrect timing when I try to shift, but probably it's not the case, because I'm not doing that on the full throttle. I'm not putting extra power when shifting, but basically probably I should look for some chain guide. And I actually tried one from earlier models of Spark, because it has very similar fitting, but eventually it didn't fit the current new frame of a Spark, and I probably will have to look for some alternatives, unless you know what can be done with it. So it would be much appreciated if you let me know. Write me down in the comments, or just paste the link which you suggest to have a look at. And here again, never ending hiking the bike. So yeah, that dropping off the chain is a real bummer, because it's not that easy to gain any position and win extra time in such conditions, and then you're just losing it for nothing. It's a tedious thing to do. And actually from that moment, it was like 35 minutes into the course, my patience levels reduced quite significantly, and my language wasn't the most beautiful on the course. So if I upload full on board and you will see some explicit language, sorry about that. I tried to clean up as much as possible, but there are still potentially some of them left, so sorry about that.
are you? Not very good. Yeah, this is and you?
Yeah, while this makes a joke that, yeah, it's not Alps, because I've been in the Alpen Tour a few weeks ago, and you can also see some highlights from that race. It was a state race for MTB as well. But yeah, Valdis was running strongly on this race, but I guess I managed to overtake him by a few tenths of a second. So sorry about that, Valdis. And here is a situation where I lost my camera power. Basically, I always run with power bank, and for some reason it shut down after 1 hour and 5 minutes or so. So I tried a few times to reconnect the cables, etc., but probably the wet did something about it. So whenever I was hiking the bike up, I also tried to do something with one hand for the power bank and for the camera, and eventually maybe 7 or 10 minutes later I managed to reconnect it. And even though I probably lost a few seconds here and there while trying to do that, I just felt that, well, if I'm going in such conditions racing here, I'm not going to lose anything if I just spend few seconds reconnecting it, because, well, if you see, it's, I don't have what to comment here. Yeah, basically sometimes when you are going with clipless pedals, here was...
You're the guy who filmed previous videos, right? Yeah.
It's nice to be recognized by other riders who knew that it was yours videos from the past, so thanks a lot for doing such mentions, guys. And what I was saying, yeah, so when you go with clipless pedals and you walk the bike on such muddy ground, it feels like you're making the footsteps like a cow going on that dirty mud. So those uphills looked very likely to that. And usually I don't go off a bike without even trying, and that was not the case here as well. So you can see that I'm struggling, but trying to go that extra meter or so. However, I was running on Racing Ray and Racing Ralph, and I was extremely disappointed.
Racing Ralph's a piece of shit.
Yeah, you can hear that I'm expressing my disappointment.
I believe that there is a bit of a difference, because yeah, but on Racing Ralphs the knobs are very close to each other and it gets...
Yeah, so the guys were laughing out of me that I said that, but basically of course the conditions were really unforgiving for probably any tire, but Racing Ralph's was, in my opinion, a poor decision, because it becomes muddy and it is not able to drop down that extra mud from the tire fast enough. And for the second day I added different tires, and we'll see how it goes. But actually it was bad decision, in my opinion, to go with Racing Ralphs. Of course, some went with even Thunderbirds, I guess, but that's interesting. What tire would be the best in such conditions? So if you have opinion, drop down in the comments. I assume that having tire without close to none protector and knobs maybe helps to climb, because it's not able to attract mud that much. what Racing Ralphs did extremely poorly here. So the tire looked like a tire from Fat Bike, and this was a nice single track down on the edge, and this was not that nice muddy place. So probably I hit the ground up to 5 times in a similar way, where you just try to corner or just all of a sudden front wheel slides. And it's not a matter of too much pressure, because I was running really low. Maybe I should have added extra pressure, but I just feel like having that more traction with the ground helps for me, at least in theory or in my mind. So here I managed to overtake Geert, but he did his thing and overtook me back at some point in the course. And probably wonder why I'm trying to clean up the lens that much. Well, at least it sometimes looked like I have some dry place on my gloves, but you can see that it was not always the case. And I couldn't see a thing. There were how many kilometers are left, etc. on the edge, because it was all dirty and muddy and all sorts of things, which doesn't help for visibility. And you have seen that because I didn't knew how much kilometers are left was to the finish line, I allowed one guy to go in front, and well, I noticed that, alright, so that's the finish, so I should try to catch him back. So he was already a bit up front, and I tried to do that, but you can see that he finally managed to go front. And also I'm not sure who he was. I haven't checked it, but basically because our starting times varied, because it was its interval start, it wasn't that much of a difference whether you will finish
Jesus Christ.
in front of him or not, because you started at different times. It just feels better when you are able to overtake something.
I couldn't see a thing.
Yeah, so that was highlights for day 1, and I'll also do the same thing about the second one. So thanks for the time, and we will meet on the day 2.
Super was a small guy, very slowly, just smiling, riding.
No emotions at all.
Yeah,
Doing his job.
yes, of course.